11 announced WrestleMania matches, but how much hype does each of them have? I'm ranking and grading all of them next, so just keep watching. Well, we finally made it to my show, so this is our second countdown in 2 days, and we're riding the hype train from 11 to 1 for all the matches that I'm the most hyped about. And I am the SportsZu, so let's get right to grading them as well. So let's get this started at number 11, which is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the Women's Tag Team Championships against the winner of the Gauntlet match. So this has to get an F. We know it'll be Bayley and Lyra, which is a good team. They are good wrestlers, but worst of all, that means there's no Women's IC title match at WrestleMania, which is a terrible look for this new title that we would like to give some respect to, but will not be able to. But worst of all, since the Elimination Chamber, does Liv even come to the ring anymore? She only had one match, and that was on SmackDown. So while this might be fun, it is simply not enough, as there is no there. At number 10 is AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. This is also getting an F. I'm blaming Paul mostly for this. Even though he is our YouTube Lord and Savior, he needs to save a little bit more time for wrestling, especially since he said he was going to be a full-time wrestler, but we have barely seen him, as he's only had 3 matches in 2025 and just one one-on-one match, which was his only one since SummerSlam. And I have to say, Styles does not make it any easier, as he's had just 2 matches in 2025 and also just one-on-one match. And even though Karrion Kross is spilling all of his poison into Styles' ear, there's simply no amount of interference by Paul on Monday in their match that will make this feel like anything worthwhile. At number 9, we've got Tiffany Stratton defending the Women's WWE Championship against Charlotte Flair. This is still getting a D-, because do you remember when these two brawled after Charlotte's match and then Tiffy swantoned off of the Titantron? Yeah, that was awesome. And it was also about a month ago, and they haven't even touched each other since. I know we can't really do the same thing every week, but these two need to do the same thing every week, because what we've gotten instead was a terrible video interview, then a pretty meh match by Charlotte where Tiffy didn't do anything and only had a backstage interview, and then of course it was culminated by last week's god-awful in-ring interview. So I simply have no words for how we lost so much steam when this one had some real potential. And I do think this match has the biggest range of outcomes for its quality, and I am nervous it's going to be on the cringeworthy side, so even though I shouldn't doubt Charlotte because she always comes through in a big match, I simply can't shake that feeling right now. So let's go to number 8 with Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. They saved a sinking ship 2 weeks ago when Jimmy became a bloody mess. But this week was more just of a mixed bag. On one hand, we certainly needed Jey to look like a not complete chump going into this match, so the mission was accomplished. But the way Gunther just stood there and took it and did absolutely nothing about it was a flashback to those terrible months of him having doubts about himself. So ugh, what more can we say there? Maybe there's just no way to win with me here, and for that I apologize. It seemed like an awful call from the very moment that Jey won the Royal Rumble, and it's going to take a whole lot more in this match to prove me wrong. And honestly, I don't think that they can get there, so for me, this is a no yeet. At number 7, we've got the Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. This is getting a C. This is a little bit wacky, but I think we may actually have something here. If Breaker and Penta just do their normal thing, I have no doubt this will be great. Though I will say I mostly would have liked to see those two go one-on-one for the IC title instead. But in the everything, everywhere, all at once mantra that always comes back around for the Judgment Day, this certainly has to be the moment of implosion for Balor and Dom. But man, if what I think is going to happen actually happens, that is the craziest thing possible. And then to answer the great David Shoemaker, no, Finn Balor will not be fine. But to quote the doc, that would be double okay by me. At number 6, we've got the Women's World Championship between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. This is also getting a C. I simply cannot go higher than that, as the build has just been way too clunky for a match that could be really off of the charts. I've said it several times, Io is the best in-ring wrestler for the last few years, but having her in this match is simply a mistake. And I'm sorry to say that because I really love seeing Io. But when you've got 0 one-on-one matches between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair on the main roster, and you have it sitting right there on a silver platter, you go ahead and blow it up. Just wow. Just wow. And then to double wow that, we had the title change, we had 2 weird contract signings, we had pushing the champ in the face week after week like she's an afterthought. That gives us a big ugh, and it deserves to be lower on the list for the build, but I simply can't put it any lower when we have this amazing talent lined up here. So it certainly has match of the night potential, but for now, it's a little bit of a bummer. At number 5, we've got LA Knight defending the US title against Jacob Fatu. We're gonna give this a C+, because I can't quite put my finger on this one, why it's not higher on the list, because Jacob Fatu's been an absolute revelation and a beast since he stepped foot inside the WWE. And he absolutely should be the one challenging for this title at WrestleMania. And LA Knight has been on a great run for a couple of years now and is certainly the right man to be the champion. But something is just a little off here, isn't it? It must be 2 things. Number 1, Knight losing the title to Nakamura and then him doing nothing with it for a few months is a complete letdown. And for the 2nd straight match, they messed around with the belts here when they really didn't need to. And number 2, we have a huge soft spot here for Braun Strowman, so it feels like a crime that his 1 title shot went for a no contest, and then he crushes it yet again in a last man standing match, only to finally take an L in that type of match and be left out of this one. So is there nothing we can do for that man? Oh well, it just stings a little bit for me to not see him here, but I am looking forward to seeing Jacob Fatu wreaking some havoc. At number 4, we've got Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, and I'm giving this a B because I've been hook, line, and sinker for El Grande Americano since his first appearance, and I just love me a good WrestleMania comedy storyline, just like Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville a few years ago. This one is brimming with just so much potential, and Rey playing it straight in his meeting with Pierce was a chef's kiss, because he does not want to wrestle Chad Gable, he wants to wrestle El Grande Americano, and that indeed is just some pure gold. The only negative here is that Americano hasn't been around just a month or 2 longer to build him up even more to get us some more comedic tension. But still, we better have tons of shenanigans here with an unmasking at the end of it, and that will get me a big old gracias. So let's take just a moment to pour one out for Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, because I'd put that match right here if it was still happening. Instead, I'll hope to see Sami Zayn on SmackDown tonight to take his place. But even though I'm on the Zayn side of this rivalry right here, I have to say, just keep fighting, KO, and we wish you nothing but a speedy recovery. So let's get back to it, and at number 3, we've got Jade Cargill versus Naomi, and I'm giving this a B+. Because apparently seeing 2 grown women crying inside a WWE ring with some pretty big tears, that had me from the first moment. And I suppose that's a bit of a problem since it was Bianca Belair crying instead of Jade, but man, does Jade look like a woman scorned who is stopping at nothing. And early returns are good for this new side of Naomi. In storyline, I think her rationale that it always should have been her is quite frankly garbage, as she immediately wanted and did indeed try to win the women's WWE title right after WrestleMania, and last I checked, that does not need a tag partner. But hey, she's telling her truth the way she sees it, and it is working. And it really is a bit of a mystery just how good Jade can be in one-on-one action, but her match with Liv was promising. So I'm certainly very interested to see just how this one glows, or just how this one goes. Number 2 is our triple threat match between Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, and this is also getting a B+. The puzzle for me was finally completed on Raw, with Rollins somehow getting himself a favor out of Heyman simply by not stomping him. Does that make any sense whatsoever? No, of course it does not, but Heyman, being the best manager of all time, sold it like it made it the gospel truth. And we simply needed that to make it seem like Rollins was really a part of this thing, and now he has a chance. Because until that point, this was simply a battle for Heyman, and he who has Heyman has the upper hand. And I'm not really sure what he can do here in a triple threat match where it's already no DQ. I suppose he can hand over a weapon to his warrior of choice, or distract the ref at exactly the right moment. But okay, at least someone from this feud makes an appearance on every single show, so that really helps out. And when either Punk, Rollins, or Heyman's on the mic, it will be good. And no, I'm not gonna hate on Reigns like the Doc absolutely would, but you have to admit he doesn't really have a way with words. He's more of a less is more kind of guy, where his mere physical presence makes it a big deal. And hey, he showed up a few times in a row now, so that does make it feel more important. And I guess with Reigns, that is all we can ask for at this point, and that is good enough for me, because the star power in this match is blinding, even by Vegas standards. So it should be an entertaining Night 1 main event, even though it would be better if there were some sort of stakes at hand. And at number 1 is Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, but it's getting a slight downgrade from where you might think, and it's getting just an A-. Is it number 1 solely because we get this heel Cena that we've wanted to see for the last 10 to 15 years? Yes it is. Did I want to see it now? I will admit that I didn't, but that doesn't mean I'm not still over the moon excited for it. And even though everything has not been perfect here, of course, because we would have given it an A or A+, because Cody Rhodes had been a little bit bland on the mic until this week, when I thought he really started to ratchet it up a little bit against Cena. But Cena has been, of course, way better, but still a little bit off of the mark. Because yes, he should have beaten us up a little bit. Yes, all the fans, we deserve it, including me, as I basically always cheer against Cena in every single feud that he has. But he also needed to go at Rhodes a whole lot more than he did for the first few weeks. But most egregious of all is the lack of the final boss. He's only been mentioned once, and of course has not appeared at all since the Elimination Chamber. And while this is not totally crippling, it certainly does not help the feud out. And Cena's answer to why he needed to do this simply needed to include The Rock, because without him, we are wanting more. And I still need an answer to what if Cody said yes, or what if The Rock did not do that throat slash? Would Cena still just be the same old happy Cena? Well, oh well. Cena can hate me all he wants, but if it leads to an amazing main event and a 17th championship, it will all be worth it. I think we'll get a few more matches booked tonight and on Monday to fill out the rest of the WrestleMania card, but I didn't want to speculate on those here, which is exactly what I did yesterday when I counted down the top 5 replacements for KO to challenge Orton at Mania. And if you missed that, be sure to go right on over here to check that out to see if I got that right. And we'll also have to see if the Doc is back for his SmackDown recap tomorrow. But for now, I'm the SportsZu, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.